Welcome back to The Vocalist. Today I am listening to the band The Cult for the second time. The first time I heard them was with the song Firewoman, so today we are listening to the song She Sells Sanctuary. Here we go. I'm going to pause here. I'm remembering some of the things I loved about Ian Astbury's vocals in the first one. The songwriting for this particular piece matches his, I guess, vocal habits so well. When I think about the phrasing and the volume and his timbre, everything lines up so beautifully with the actual composition. Something he does, at least, the two times I've heard him, there is this projected quality, almost like a sigh or a shout, that I find so refreshing in his vocals, and it lasts throughout the duration of multiple phrases or maybe even an entire song, whereas some singers will only use that particular technique to get specific notes, especially higher up in their range. So it's cool to hear that consistently throughout this whole piece. I'm going to try and point it out. I was going to say his style, but it's more than that, just his entire vibe. There is something so, I don't know, creative and artistic, and I mean that in the sense that, not that there's, a specific way an artist or a creative should look, but I feel like it just reflects so much personality, the way he carries himself. Granted, I know this is, I'm assuming some sort of official video, but I would imagine it's a similar experience seeing them live, just getting to, I don't know, watch him enjoy the music, but also be a part of it on stage. I really like that. I'm gonna just back it up a smidge. So, da 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 da. It's almost like he's just kind of like throwing that sound out there. It's still very controlled. It's a beautiful tone. You can hear a lot of clarity in the sound, but it's not it's less sung and more, it sounds like more of a release. How do I describe this? Maybe that made sense to you guys and I don't have to elaborate, but I feel like I should. Yeah, it's the difference of really purposefully phonating and hanging out on every note as opposed to picturing a much bigger phrase, a much bigger arc, and just allowing the air to do the work for you, which, I mean, is smart. Even when you are phonating specifically on every note, you still want the air to sort of do the work for you. And I think a lot of times when tension builds up, it's because we're being so deliberate, trying to get the perfect tone on every single note. So it's just nice to hear how it's very calming to me, just that even though it might seem less controlled, it's almost more controlled because of the way he's utilizing air. Now that final note just then, I'll have to look up the words. That was a very purposeful, like, I'm gonna sustain this tone, but leading up to that, you can kind of hear how the air just kind of carries the phrase. I like the forward pull in this because then we get a little bit of that bubbly texture in this part of his range. I don't know if it's going to happen higher up, but at least it's just nice that he's doing something interesting with vocal textures when something is like when we get a repeated melodic line. Even though we're getting this through line with the air and this sort of projected sigh approach, it's still really beautifully articulated. Like eyes, the way he used a glottal onset and then really just enjoyed that diphthong throughout the entire word. That was a great example of that. I want to find a better word for this as opposed to sigh or projected, but that's kind of what it is. Around and around. It's like he's just throwing it out there and he's not really trying to sing through every note. The tone carries and it lasts for the entire duration of the note, but it has such an effortless effect. It's important that we channel our like innate instincts when we're approaching music for a couple of reasons. One, the more you align your singing with your everyday vocal habits, the less fatigue you're going to feel, because if you're engaging those same habits, like you already have built up stamina with those particular habits. So that's one side of things. But the other side is efficiency. Let let me back it up. My mind's racing and I'm losing my train of thought, so we're just gonna listen to him again. It does sound a little bit like vibrato, but I'm wondering if it's more of an intentional oscillation that he's doing and less a natural vibrato that's happening. Sorry, my cat has come alive from her slumber. I'll be right back. I thought we were gonna make it through the whole video, but alas. I already backed it up so we can catch that vibrato adjacent sound. So here we go. Yeah, I wouldn't call that vibrato on the ends of those phrases. It's just a really interesting slight turn that he incorporated in order to, I don't know if he did it to emphasize those particular words or just to add more to this particular verse. It's so interesting to me that on paper, this is pretty repetitive, and yet every verse has something different that he's incorporating vocally, and I love that. Listen to "In Your Eyes." There's a vocal effect there. Ooh. It's the slightest yodel because he's putting an H in front of "in." So because we're not getting that glottal onset, we're not getting a really firm press right out the gate. That gives you a little wiggle room to do other things. And using that H, it sounds like he accessed something that was more head dominant before descending into the actual note in the melodic line, which was more chest dominant. So we got a slight yodel sound there. Recognize things can happen in editing, but it sounds to me vocally this has all been at a fairly intense level. He's not backing off the air pressure or the press and giving us a lot of lighter, breathier, velvety, warm sounds. It's all very, very pressed. And what I find so captivating about that is one sort of easy way of creating contrast and variety in a song is alternating between that sort of breathy, airy quality and something that's more pressed. But him staying in that pressed place throughout most of this piece, he managed to use vocal textures and flips and oscillations and different stylistic choices to create variety and contrast and make it interesting without ever having to separate the chords and make it have like a warmer feel to the tone. So that just shows you how many options you have in a stylistic or even technical place that seems limiting. There's still a lot that you can do, and I just really appreciate that he's doing it. One of these days, I might need to listen to a full album and just do one song at a time back to back, because I hear these artists or bands who are incredible, but there are so many others that I haven't heard that I just keep going through the list. And when I get back to an artist that was so interesting, I want more. And this is one of those examples. It really is fascinating to me how consistent his tone was throughout, even though he was doing so many different things stylistically to bring attention to different words, to bring variety to each phrase and each verse, each line. And like I said, despite him maintaining a pretty pressed production, that was a lot of P's, he gave us so much variety, and I loved it. Toward the end there, well, throughout, I noticed the rounding of his lips, and I feel like that was something... I can't remember if that was something I noticed on the first video, but some singers, now I don't know if this is the case for him or if this was just something, he was just really into the music video and maybe he doesn't even do this when he's singing, but there are some singers who pretty consistently round their lips, and when you do that, your lips are part of your vocal tract, so you're lengthening the vocal tract, and some singers find more ease in control by doing that. Sometimes it's easier to monitor your air pressure and direct it in a more specific way than if you just open wide and let vowels take over. So I don't know if that was the case for him, but I did find that interesting that it was something he did consistently throughout this particular video. So I'm just gonna have to listen to more and see if that's a theme, but that is it for today. Thank you guys so much for this recommendation and for watching with me, and hopefully I will see you next time.